This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Western Sand and Gravel is hiring for a variety of positions at their sand and gravel plants near Ashland. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Available positions include plant operators, dredge operators, and shop service technicians. They offer great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, paid holidays, and paid time off. No matter your experience level, on-the-job training is available to help you build a rewarding career with Western Sand and Gravel. Start your career today. Visit westernsand.com.
Rick Heyman here from Sauter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sauter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sauterheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
In Nebraska, we show up when friends need help. We check in on our neighbors. That's why it's important to know the warning signs of suicide. If you have a friend or neighbor who's withdrawn, stressed, agitated, or talks about suicide, find out how you can help. Call, text, or chat 988 for 24/7 support. You have the power to save a life. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
I tried to hide my cigarette smoking. Then I was rushed into emergency surgery to repair the damage smoking did to my heart. It shocked everyone because they thought I was healthy. Yet because I smoked, I had a severe heart condition that nearly killed me. My tip is, you may be able to hide your smoking from the world, but you can't hide from the damage smoking does to your body.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome to back to 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. This is Peter Ferguson BHS LLC, and as always, joined on the ones and twos with Harrison. Both of us back from some excursions that we had last week, so good to see you, Harrison. How you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you a little bit of update on mine, and I'm going to shut up about it because I think I've had that every morning in the show.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. He's like, he longs to be back in Lincoln, Nebraska, but yet, sharing the Arizona adventures.
Yeah, back from Arizona. Like I said, great time golfing. Hot weather out there. Shout out to everybody who lives out there. Don't know how they do it. But Pete Ferguson, how was your venture?
You know what? Not too bad. Had a couple weeks that we've been traveling. So St. Louis. And so I want to say congratulations. Daughter was in a wedding. So congratulations to Hallie and Brock. Hallie was a teammate of Jaden's. And so got to go out there, and it was just a phenomenal experience, but ceremony, beautiful, well done. It was at the Anheuser-Busch stadium, or not stadium, but it wasn't that big. People like, whoa, who's she rolling with? But at the Anheuser-Busch distillery or whatever you want to call it, and everything was done in-house there. So again, it was just awesome to see that. Great family for the Sydneys, and just for them to have that experience. And then got back last night, and daughter is getting ready to take on that job adventure. And so we moved her to Kansas City, or the Missouri side, to get situated in her apartment to start taking on I guess, the real world next week. And so excited for her. She was excited and just got to, just it's that next journey. And so here on Father's Day, it kind of made me reflect the last 2 weeks about just being a dad and those different points where I remember even a couple of years ago, we were driving to Kansas City for basketball tournaments or for volleyball tournaments. And so really proud of her. I don't say that often enough, but on Father's Day weekend, it just kind of put some things in perspective. So with that being said, I do want to say, happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there. You're going to hear that repeatedly, but can't say that enough. And our show's based on that. But just to those fathers, whether they're biological, whether adoptive, those bonus fathers, the foster fathers, stepfathers, surrogate, others that may be in that role that don't necessarily get that title. I do want to just share my appreciation, my congratulations, but just show some love, and give them their flowers while they're in that space, because a father's love, a mother's love is definitely important. I mean, a woman's love is something that you just can't replicate, but a father's love is absolutely something that, when you're touched by it, and so I always remember the Cosby Show, and you're a little young for that, but he had one line. He says, I brought you into the world and I can take you out. And so those are those memories. And I really am appreciative of those people that have been fathers and have a long list, but people like Michael Alvarez, who model that, Nate Woods, people who've been on the show, Dr. Jake Kirkland, Jarrell Roach, who sat in here, has been, an exemplary model of that, not only just serving, but also doing his job. Bill Bryant, Derek Pearson, DP, Jeff Rump. So again, happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Hope you're enjoying not just this day, but being shown love and appreciate, and just taking some time to appreciate the investment you made in others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll use the airtime again. Shout out Happy Father's Day to my own dad, Chuck Arns, and just all fathers out there, and you yourself, Pete Ferguson. I'll give a shout out to you as well. And I want to ask you, now that you're at this point, you just talked about moving Jaden, you're still a father. You're going to be a father. Yeah. What does the role look like now, right? Where it's a little bit different, like you're still needed, but you're not just an everyday kind of mentorship anymore.
Yeah. It caused me to reflect, because my dad passed in 2000. And I remember people always say, I'm sorry. My dad was 58 and he was served in the military. He also just was an avid sports lover, Cowboys fan. That's where I get it from, and from Nacogdoches, Texas. And he passed the same year that my daughter was born. And my daughter was born in August. He passed in January. So we, one of the things is we did not share with him that I was going to have a daughter, because he passed early January. And, as I think about just my role now, I reflect on the role that he had in my life, and when he inserted himself, but also when I wasn't accepting of him inserting himself into my life. And I wish I would have been more accepting. And so I think it's doing those things with grace. I think it's making sure that I'm present. I don't just have a presence, and my daughter has reminded me of that. And that's sometimes a challenge, but also making sure that I'm present in those moments, because again, they're not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed of going to a tournament. It's not guaranteed of going to a parent-teacher conference or a recital. And so they're not few and far between, but they're not moments. The moments have to become things that move her to that next stage. And her next stage is maybe with a partner, maybe it's with a job, maybe it's with a life decision about me.
Or another move. I mean, you're always good for that.
Yeah, maybe it might be like that movement about a decision about me. And so I think it's just taking and making sure I'm present for whatever those moments look like.
Yeah, well said. And that's always a part of Chris, because it's like, for my dad and my mom, they haven't gotten great details, obviously, but it's, once you've got 4 boys and all 4 boys are grown up and they're out of the house, it's a little bit different of a dynamic. But and the greatest thing I can say about my dad, and dads that are able to do this, it's fantastic. I think for the kids, like I've never doubted that my dad loves me and all my sons deeply, and he'd do anything for us. And that's just a great thing. And that helps when you got to give a firm message when the kid understands, like, I know this is coming from a place of love. So yeah, just once again, shout out to all the fathers out there. And if you guys want to shout out, your own dads, 402-464-5685. If you want to give them a shout out, we'd love to read them out here on the airwaves.
Awesome. So with that transition, we talked about the boy dads, but we've got a show here where we are fortunate enough to have a group of girl dads and their daughters one in studio and one is joining us on the stream. And so instead of, I thought about a way to just introduce, and I could read a long bio and just kind of say, oh, this is who this is and but who better to do that than their daughters? And so we've got, and I would say Annalie. Yep. And I think she's coming in on a stream.
Yep,
and
she's in the stream right now, so it's delayed. But
okay, from California. Mm-hmm. And so, Annalie, I want you, first off, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and then I'm going to have you introduce this man who is sitting here, which I know you've done some road travels with, as I've seen in the past, who this individual is first. So tell us who you are, and then I'm going to have you introduce your pops.
Sounds good. Hi, everybody. So yeah, I'm coming in from California right now. So I'm a senior at SDSU at South Dakota State University, and I'm on the volleyball team there with one more semester left. And so majoring in advertising and currently in Long Beach, California right now for an internship that I'm doing just over a short period of time in the summer. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about me. But to introduce my dad first, happy Father's Day. Haven't seen you since you took a road trip with me all the way to California for 22, 23 plus hours. But yeah, this is my dad, Nick Brown. We always have just such a fun time. I think having that road trip really was something that brought me a lot of joy. And he's a fun, lovable, just kind of, I guess you could say, crazy dad at times in his own funny, enjoyable way. But yeah, that's my dad, Nick Brown. But
Awesome. And Nick, we're going to get to you, but we got to have this daughter. We got to have the other young lady here in our space. She's going to introduce her pops. And so I love now, Harrison, I love the way she asked me when we were out sitting there getting prepped for the show. She's like, okay, do I need to say dad or do I say his real name? And I was like, well, does he got an alias or something? I mean, like, is it Batman or what do we need to know? So tell us who you are at first and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am Kaylana. And I like to draw in color. Okay. And this is my dad, Delonte Johnson, and he's a great dad.
Awesome. Tell us something unique about him. I know you've done some road trips. I know you didn't share the driving, probably like Nick and his daughter, but what's something unique about
him? He always seems to he's gone for business stuff.
Okay.
Or just grabbing something, but you can always, even if he leaves, you can't tell that he's left.
Ooh. Wow,
but you can still feel the love that he has for you when he's gone.
Oh my. That's a solid opening right there. Even like a father's love, even when you leave, you can't feel like he's left because you can always feel the love. Appreciate that. We're going to get back to you. So Nick, your daughter introduced you. Tell us a little bit about who you are and just your all's relationship.
So my name is Nick Brown. I am a business owner. I also like helping out the community. And as far as my daughter goes, we have always had a great relationship. We are both two peas in a pod, kind of goofy, kind of do some crazy stuff. We like adventure, like having fun together. The road trip was just one of the many things. Trying to get a picture by the Colorado sign was probably the best part. In the middle of a rainstorm, my daughter set up a video trying to record us, which we failed probably 7 or 8 times, getting soaking wet, and we got a picture of us blurry. We can't even hardly see ourselves. But that's kind of the goofy relationship we have together. But there's also serious conversations we've had over the years. Raising her and into the woman she's becoming. I'm so proud of who she is and who she's becoming, and her work ethic and all the hard work she's put into her volleyball. She ran track in high school, and everything she's done and she's achieved. And just the one thing I think about her that I am really, really impressed with is her ability to not limit what she's capable of achieving. She doesn't set limits. If she wants to go do something, she'll go out and do it. And there's times I'm like, I don't know if this is really the best thing. I don't really know if this is really realistic. And one of the things I've learned from her is don't ever limit yourself because, in life, you are capable of so many more things than you really realize if you just simply believe you can achieve it, and then you're willing to put in the work to actually go after it. And that's one of the things I learned from my daughter.
Love that. Love that. Delonte, you heard this. You got an introduction.
Yeah.
You know,
These are
the
tough acts to follow.
preview from your daughter. Tell us a little bit about who you are and just about, being a dad.
Yeah, so my name's Delonte Johnson. I work for Emeritus as a director of cybersecurity. I have 3 children, 2 boys, and then my daughter Kaylana. I am the oldest of 5 boys, so just a lot of boys.
So we're going to tell you how that disrupted things, right?
Yeah. So, my daughter, she is a social butterfly. I think that she can make friends with just about anyone, and I just love her charisma and her intelligence, and she's just awesome to be around. So it like I said, it's definitely it was new for me. It continues to be new for me, just being around majority boys my entire life, but I'm learning on the fly, and I think it's a good balance to have for sure.
So I want to come back to you because you talked about you've been around boys, whether it been growing up with your siblings and everything. I want both of you to share a little bit, like, what's it like being a girl dad? I know kind of that came to fruition with Kobe Bryant and kind of, with his passing and just like, him coaching and things like that. But just what is unique about being a dad of a young lady?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. And like I said, for me, just being the oldest of 5 boys, we were pretty rough with each other, and then my oldest is a boy, so naturally, I was pretty, I would say like rough with him too. And then you have a daughter, and it's just like, oh, I just like don't want to, break anything, and so you're just like so more delicate, but then you start to realize over time, it's just like that's actually not how you need to be. And so, like I said, for me, it was just kind of eye-opening to actually have a daughter, and then just kind of go through that transition of just like, okay, like you can still, they're not exactly the same, but you can still, do a lot of the same things.
Nick, same question to you. What is one of the best parts about being a girl dad? And then your daughters, I'm gonna let them spill the tea if you all are actually proficient about everything that you're saying. But what's one of the best parts about being a dad of a young lady?
I think when I found out I was going to have a daughter, I just remember thinking to myself, like, I don't even know what to do. I'm like, I grew up working on cars and rough housing with my brother and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And to some degree, she helped me figure that out. I remember times when she was little, we'd play beauty salon. She'd sit there putting bows in my hair, and ties to my hair and all sorts of stuff. And I've got clips and stuff everywhere. And we're laughing, giggling. We're playing with Legos, playing Barbie or whatever it happens to be, which are things I never even thought about, right, when I was a kid. And so I think she kind of helped me into that role a little bit more. But then also like the protective dad. And it really made me think about like what it is to be a man, what it is to be a father. Because to some extent, I still remember the very first time I held her and told her I loved her. I realized in that moment that I only have so much time to be that number one man in her life. At some point, there's going to be another guy who comes in and says, "Sir, I really love your daughter. I want to marry your daughter." At some point.
Whoa! When was that?
I'm not. Believe me, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that. But I'm just saying. Like for me, it comes down to I had that thought, I had that realization, and it's like, okay, I need to think about that. And what kind of man do I want my daughter to date? What kind of man do I want my daughter to be? What kind of example do I want to set to my daughter? Right. And so that's kind of the vision of who I want to become, who I want to be for her, to set that vision. So that way she sees this is what I believe a man should be like. This is how I should believe a man should be. He should be honorable, respectable, all those kinds of things. And so that kind of helped me in a way grow up even more so when I first had her.
I love that. I've spent more time watching like Bad Boys, and I think about Will Smith and Martin Lawrence at that moment when they came. Emily, if you have not seen that, get yourself prepared. I've had to watch that multiple times when he comes in and be like, okay,
I'm not ready for that moment by any means. I'm just saying.
I gotta be real. That's a real thing.
I do not advocate intimidation, but I do advocate making sure it's done the right way. Emily, tell us a little bit about, your dad, as he's talking about like setting those examples and being a role model. Like, what does that look like as you all have not just traveled across the United States, but what does that look like for you as you've grown and now you're kind of in a different stage from like elementary, middle school, but you're in that college realm and then getting ready to transition into life? How has that impacted you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's funny that he said at the beginning, I think every dad, every parent, no matter who you are, kind of says, well, I don't really know what to do, when you have a kid. Take him home from the hospital and you have no idea. But I think that's something that just kind of carries on throughout life, and you can see it, when you're, like when I'm going through life, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I never know. I'm like, I don't know what the next step looks like. I don't know what the next point of my life looks like within those different phases of going from elementary school, middle school, high school to now. Well, now I'm like in California just doing an internship. I'm like, I have no idea what the next point of life looks like. And so I think it's, important that it's okay if you don't know. If it's okay if you're unsure, if you don't know about those things. And I think that's something where you and your parent, or in this case, you and your dad, can really kind of figure out together. And I think just during the different life experiences that we've had, we've been able to talk about things, and just with life and kind of how you get through those moments of not knowing what to expect next. And I think that's something that you guys, we kind of like help each other out with, and figuring that out, and just kind of learn from each other. There's lots of learning that we can do with from each other. And I think that's something that we just kind of help each other out with, just within those different steps of life. But
yeah, I think always that support and just, being there again. I don't think there's not, nobody ever put all this in a manual.
Yeah.
In relationships, and like, oh, if you join us for 3 weeks, you'll be a master at this and you'll be able to teach it. And that's a lie. And so with that said, when we come back, okay, I didn't forget about you. You're going to get to talk about your dad a little bit, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back on 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
Your number one dad may not need another tie or coffee mug, but he always needs a little more award-winning barbecue from Hog Wild. Give Dad a meal fit for the king of your castle this Father's Day with Hog Wild's hearty, family-pleasing menu. Our meaty ribs, tender beef brisket, pulled pork, and hot links pair perfectly with our home-style sides. Order online at GoHogWild.com. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
You grew up on cereal for breakfast and you graduated into drinking coffee at some point as an adult. Now there's a place in Lincoln where you can stay caffeinated but eat like you used to. Control Coffee and Cereal Bar brings Saturday morning vibes to every day with locally roasted specialty coffees, Lotus energy drinks, and tons of breakfast cereals with toppings. And did we mention they have video games to play while you're there too? Control Coffee and Cereal Bar open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the weekends at 15th and Pine Lake.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Husker fans, the 2025 Nebraska football season is right around the corner, and we need your support in the Sea of Red at Memorial Stadium this fall. You can now purchase a Husker football 3-game mini plan for only $185. This plan includes tickets to Michigan or USC, plus Akron or Houston Christian, and either Michigan State, Northwestern, or Iowa. Tickets are only available while supplies last. To purchase your Husker football 3-game mini plan today, or for more information, visit huskers.com/tickets. Go Big Red.
Are you buying a home? Westgate Bank understands that you need to make important decisions during your home buying journey. Our local lenders in Lincoln and Omaha make themselves available so you can get the information you need to know. Use our mobile mortgage app to manage your transaction from pre-qualification to closing, no matter where you are. Get the service and convenience you want from a local community bank where our interest is you. Learn more and visit us online at westgate.bank. Westgate Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC.
A smoke-free environment is the only way to fully protect from the dangers of secondhand smoke. That's why smoke-free policies are so important to me. Whether it's in my car, apartment building, or when I'm dining outdoors, there's no place for secondhand smoke or e-cigarette aerosol. Breathe easier knowing the facts. Visit smokefree.ne.gov. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Western Sand and Gravel is hiring for a variety of positions at their sand and gravel plants near Ashland. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Available positions include plant operators, dredge operators, and shop service technicians. They offer great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, paid holidays, and paid time off. No matter your experience level, on-the-job training is available to help you build a rewarding career with Western Sand and Gravel. Start your career today. Visit westernsand.com.
Back to Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. This is Peter Ferguson BHS LLC, and it is Father's Day, June 15th, 2025, and again, excited to have Harrison on the board. Wanted to give a couple more shout outs to just some dads and some fathers out there that are doing the work. Keith Brown, located in Georgia. I've had him on the show. Jay Pitts, Brian Mays, David Honens, Phil Maynard, who subbed in. And then a pending father-to-be, Mike Smith, who was recently on, is expecting here in the next week or so. And so I wanted to give a shout out to all them. And then all the, ticket personalities that we have. Many of them are fathers.
Yeah, shout out to Austin Orman. He had his kid not too long ago. Jake Sorensen had his kid not too long ago. So.
Jay's putting in the Foreman's putting in the work. So again, just wanted to wish everybody and hope you're enjoying the day out there. But we have a collection of girl dads in the studio today. And so has been revealing, insightful, but also just showing that love. And so our young lady here, I asked her during the break. You ready for this question?
Yeah.
All right. You want to ask it, or you want me to ask it to you?
You ask it.
I ask it to you. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
First off, you just graduated from 5th grade. I say you're promoted from 5th grade. So tell us a little bit about that experience, where you went to school, and any shout outs you want to give.
I graduated from Belmont Elementary, and it was a pretty good school. We even had Pete Ferguson on at the school too.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay. Jeez.
shout out to Beat Ferguson.
There you go. That's where we didn't go ahead and plan that. But.
And shout out to some of my friends, Layla, Ariana.
Okay.
Anna.
All right. So,
Gisela.
so now I want you to announce where are you going to middle school?
I'm going to Goodrich Middle School.
All right. And tell them what they need to look out for. So give them your full name. So those people there, when you're coming into middle school, they know who's coming in.
I'm Kaylana Mariah Johnson.
All right. And what special are you bringing? What's something special you're bringing to the school?
I'm bringing my my art skills.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. So now I asked her something you want to say, know, or ask these dads. Okay. I'm going to let you pose the question. Okay. Something you want to say, know, or ask to these dads that they have to answer.
What did you learn from your daughters?
All right. So Nick, we're going to have you start there. What did you learn from your daughters?
Oh, there's a lot.
Or what did you learn from your daughters? Sorry.
I want to see that.
Annalise like, whoa, hold up.
Yeah,
so she took the screen off. I was like,
I got one daughter.
Like texting things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think how to love myself, how to love others, and how to not take life too seriously either, because there's a lot of things that happen, good and bad, in parenting and things you have to do. Sometimes you have to discipline your daughter. Sometimes you have to set rules and boundaries and stuff like that. But then also like how to forgive yourself, because you're not going to be a perfect parent. You don't, like you said, you don't have a rule book. There's no guide of the perfect way to raise a child. And so being forgiving of yourself and situations. I had one as at one parenting moment where Annalie wasn't bringing her backpack home from school, and I had this giant wig, and she's gonna love this. And I was kind of frustrated because she was just not listening to do her homework and stuff like that. And so I put the wig on. I told Annalie, listen, this wig is going in the car. If you don't bring your backpack and homework home tomorrow, I'm going to come out, put this wig on at school, and introduce myself to all your friends. Be like, I'm Annalie's dad, everybody. Here I am. And from that day forward, she never forgot a backpack. Luckily, she didn't call my bluff, because I would have had to fall through with that. I'm glad I didn't. But yeah, just some of those moments where you're kind of more lighthearted, you kind of have to discipline your kids, but you also forgive yourself because you don't really know what you're doing, and you're kind of testing things out as you go.
I like that. See, for me, I didn't have the hair, so like I said, they were like, "Do it." Yeah, Dad, they need to see you with some hair.
I know.
All right, now, Ileana, you gotta ask your dad. Ask your dad the same question.
What did you learn from me?
Yeah, I would piggyback off of what Nick said there, and I would say the presence over perfection. So no one's going to be perfect. There's not a manual. Those things have been said. And I do feel and have felt at times just like, I don't know if I'm handling this situation the best. But then when I sit back and reflect, I think just being there and being present and, just like I said, just showing up and helping guide, your daughter through her journey through life. I think that's something definitely that I've learned, a little bit more flexibility with that.
Awesome. So we oftentimes ask for advice. Okay. And so Annalie, I want you not just speaking to your father, you can make it personal if you want, but more general. But what is, I don't want to say the first rule, but what is the first rule of fatherhood that you would give to people? And just again, so maybe a piece of advice that's not necessarily in a manual or in a book, so to speak, but for all dads out there, what is a piece of advice? What is the first rule that you would say in being a father that they would need?
Mm-hmm. I think it's important not just for fathers, but for everybody, as you go like throughout life, knowing who you were once. I think taking a second to just remember the lessons you learned, how you were able to grow, the different mistakes you had, the successes you had, the failures, whatever it is, and how you were able to get into the point of life that you are where you're at today. I think that you can kind of put it into perspective of your child or of like your younger self that you were, and then you can remind yourself and be proud of who you are, your accomplishments, and everything that you've had. And I think just remembering to continue to learn. There's lots of learning moments, as we've said before, and grow and really challenge yourself to find the different successes in life. And I mean, even finding failure, you learn a lot more when you fail than from when you succeed. That I found, and so just kind of live, you know, life and um, like through your eyes, but also through different perspectives, and see how, you're proud of yourself, and just remembering how you got to where you are today, and who you used to be, and how you can learn from that.
Powerful. I think that's a powerful share and useful for everybody. Kayliana, what is a piece of advice that you would give to dads, the fathers out there, those in the role? What's one piece, and it doesn't have to be your dad, but what's a piece of advice that you give to fathers out there?
Probably just showing that you care, like, a lot. Like, if your daughter or your son or your kids, like, show you something, even if you don't, like, think it's as good, like, if it's a stick drawing or something, even though that's not that good, like, looking at them and putting on a very big happy smile and telling them that they did a good job and it looks exactly like you, that'd probably just help them a lot to get through the day, especially if they're having a hard day. Because, like you've always said, you never know what's going on somebody's day. So they could have had the worst day, and you could have just looked at them with a straight face and been like, very good, and that might have just made their day worse because they can tell that you're not being serious, and they could just tell that, like, they'll look at you and be like, you don't think it's good, do you? And it's just gonna break their little heart.
You know what? I love the stick figure example right there, because that's about, like I said, I think it used to be, Harrison and them don't, but I think I've got some dads in the mix that may remember this, like the clay molded ashtrays. And I didn't even smoke.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even smoke. And I was like getting these clay molded ashtrays. I'm
I
like,
remember those.
Wait, what are they teaching in school? Like,
Yeah.
like, man, don't you want to ask your pops if they smoke or whatever?
Well, we made mugs, so it changed a little bit.
Okay. So it was that transition of that health and well-being component. So, but I think even just smiling when it comes in, you're like, man, that is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. But then all of a sudden you walk into somebody's office and you're like, oh, you got one too. Just sitting out there. It's like, oh, your kid made that, right? They're like, yeah, they're going to show up one day and ask where it's at. So can appreciate, definitely appreciate that. So what is, I want to say the best piece of advice, and I'm going to ask all of you all this, Helena, Annalie, the best piece of advice that you've gotten from your folks, but what is the best piece of advice, Nick and Delonte, that you've received from an individual that may have served as a father figure to you? So it could have been your father, it could have been a coach, it could have been somebody that was in that father figure role. Nick, I want to start with you.
So for me, I got this from my parents was enjoy the time you have because it goes by so fast. Really, really try to live in the moment, because you're going to wake up and they're going to be 22, and it'll gone by like that. Right. And so that's one thing I think I've tried to do. I haven't always done it well, but there's times I have done it well. And so really just taking every moment and enjoying those moments you have with your kids.
Like that. Delonte, what about you? And then who did you receive that from? I'm Nick.
That was my mom and dad.
Okay. Mom and dad. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, so for me, it would be my grandfather who passed away last year. So rest in peace, Jimmy Lindsay. We miss you. But he was a very hardworking man, and he would tell me that I'm not sure if he got it from somewhere, but I just remember one time he said discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments, and I think it applies to so many things. Obviously, it applies professionally, but I think it can apply to parenting and so many other things. When you are consistent and you prioritize and don't make sacrifices or excuses. Going back to kind of what Nick said earlier about not limiting yourself, you're really able to achieve things that you set out for. And so that's something for me. It's just like if I truly want something, I need to be disciplined in how I want to achieve that, and that could that goes for being a great dad as well. So need to set out for exactly what I want to do and how I intend to do that.
Love that. Lee, what about you? Best piece of advice that you've ever received from your dad?
Yeah, I think it honestly does go with what he said. He got that from his parents, and then he kind of brought that piece of advice onto me of just living in the moment. Kind of goes along with just kind of being purposeful with what you do, and I think opportunities that come my way, and so being able to be in the moment when I'm a part of those opportunities is something that is really important to me. Just to kind of slow down, take a second, slow down, see where you are, and just be in the moment. And yeah, I think that's something that he's installed in me too. So
Yeah, that being in the moment, I think is hard because you
Mhm.
always. I had a coach that always talked about it, and I would say, like, what's the best piece of advice that you would give? And he would always say, worry about this team, this moment, this year, because we're always like, okay, in 2 years they're going to be this, or in 3 years they'll be here. Or, okay, going to college. And Nick and I share the volleyball component. As my daughter is like, okay, man, what's that next step? What's that next thing going to look like? And then all of a sudden, it's over.
Oh yeah.
And you're like all those challenges and all those struggles that you're just like, oh man, I just can't wait till we, this gets to experience this. You're like, man, I really wish I could go back to her just serving underhand and that ball not even going over the net and the score and all those points being
all the times they catch the ball and then okay, now serve it back.
Yeah, and so I just think being present in that moment and enjoying those moments. Okay, I'm gonna say, what's the best piece of advice that you got from your dad?
Probably to always be hardworking and like even if you're tired right now, it will all be worth it later. Like, let's say if you wanted to sleep in, you have a choice to either get up now and explore and see stuff, or you could sleep in and then might miss some opportunities. Now, you get up and you check your phone, and now you just remembered that you have a job report in an hour. Now, it's good that you didn't sleep in for 2 hours and then realize that you forgot your job appointment.
Wow, hey, Dad was over here like sweating. You were like wiping out. Like, man, I didn't know you were into my business. We're gonna have to have a conversation. I noticed the job appointment got taken care of. He was online and he was ready to go. Everybody here was just like looking at each other like, oh,
very specific.
That's a little bit too real. Hey, with all that, we'll be right back after this on 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with the child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
You grew up on cereal for breakfast and you graduated into drinking coffee at some point as an adult. Now there's a place in Lincoln where you can stay caffeinated but eat like you used to. Control Coffee and Cereal Bar brings Saturday morning vibes to every day with locally roasted specialty coffees, Lotus energy drinks, and tons of breakfast cereals with toppings. And did we mention they have video games to play while you're there too? Control Coffee and Cereal Bar open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the weekends at 15th and Pine Lake.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Rick Heyman here from Starter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Starter Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at starterheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
I want to ride. Do you want to ride? June is officially riding month at Rod's Power Sports, Nebraska's largest volume Honda Power Sports dealership. Come in now and take advantage of huge savings and a great inventory selection during Rod's I Want to Ride celebration days all month long. Simply schedule a qualified demo ride on one of their new Honda motorcycles, ATVs, scooters, or side-by-sides, or purchase a new or used vehicle, and you get a free custom I Want to Ride t-shirt. Plus, all month long, they have 10% discounts on all wearables, parts, accessories, and oil change kits when purchased with a new or used Honda. Free refreshments served each Saturday morning in June. Just show up and say, I want to ride, and they'll fix you up with some free stuff and help you pick out that new ride. Come ride with Rod's Power Sports in Lincoln or online at rodspowersports.com. For your safety, read the owner's manual and always wear a helmet and eye protection. Honda Power Sports vehicles are for riders 16 years and older. Honda recommends that all ATV riders take a training course.
Back to Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back to the third segment of 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. This is Peter Ferguson, BHS LLC, and joined on the ones and twos with Harrison on the Father's Day edition. Again, want to shout out Happy Father's Day to all those individuals, whether they're biological, adoptive, bonus, stepfathers, surrogate, or they serve in that role. Definitely want to honor you and recognize you today for all you've invested in. We've had a great show, some laughs, some realisms, and so I think there's going to be some conversations post. But wanted to end the show, first off, just Nick, tell us, you're involved in a lot of things, not only as a dad, and just share briefly about some of those things you're involved in.
Well, one of the things I'm involved in is the 50 Mile March Foundation. Their mission is to empower veterans facing mental health challenges and homelessness by fostering community of hope and relentless support. One of the ways they do this is with a march from Lincoln to Omaha. It's 50 miles in 22 hours. The 22 hours is representative of the 22 veterans who commit suicide every day. And for me, it's something really important to help support. I'm not a veteran, but help support our veterans and all the men and women who have fought for our freedoms, who have sacrificed so much for me, but also the families of those people, because it's not just the veterans who have made a sacrifice. It's also the family members, the mothers and fathers who've lost a son or daughter, the brothers or sisters, the children, the husbands and wives who have made a sacrifice, not just if they've lost their veteran, if they've lost their soldier, but as well as when they get deployed overseas, the time away from your kids, the time away from your family. And so it's important for me as someone who's not a veteran to help support those people and let them know, not just through my words, but through my actions, how much I appreciate them. And so this year, August 23rd and 24th, we are leaving Walton and arrive in Omaha the next day. And there's about 200 marchers and about 100 volunteers helping support us. And that is something to me that's just very, very powerful. It's something that if anybody would like more information, you can go to the 50milemarch.org, or you can always look me up, Nick_J.Brown. I have more information on my Instagram page about some of that stuff. We're raising money and awareness to help support our veterans. I just feel like very, very strongly that's something I support and I really care a lot about.
I think without question, Mental Health Awareness Month, but it's always something that should be addressed and looked into. We'll make sure we go ahead and I'll post that up on my socials as well. And, you know, as we go forward, Delonte, quickly from you, just give me 5 words that describe fatherhood, 3 to 5 words that describe fatherhood.
Ooh, 3 to 5 words that describe fatherhood. Let's see. I'm going to say care, attention, love, flexibility.
Yep.
I guess that's 4. I'm going to stop with that.
Okay. Like that. So to close things out, Annalie.
You want me to go?
Oh.
No, sorry. I was like, I paused for a minute. I'm sorry. Annalie, sorry. I want you to do a Dear Dad, okay? Dear Dad, just 30-second love huddle for us.
Okay. Okay. Dear Dad, I just want to say that I love you. I love all the support and everything that you've shown me throughout the years. I think, you know, we have all kinds of different moments together, from being, you know, having deep conversations to having our crazy moments on our road trips and everything. And it's just been a fun, wild, loving ride with you. And I'm so excited to see, you know, where life takes us next.
Thank you, Anna.
Awesome.
I love you too.
Thank you. Kaylana, you get to do your Dear Dad after I froze like that earlier. All right, you're 30 seconds. Look at your pops. Look at your pops. Go ahead, speak in that mic, and go ahead and give me your
Dear Dad. Thank you for showing me what is, can't think of the word. What is needed in the world, like kindness, and thank you for showing me how much responsibility you need to take in the world. I love you, and I'm grateful that you're my dad, and I'm so happy that I get to be with you every day, almost every day.
Awesome. We got to have a hug after that. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can reach out, take the headphones with the hug. Hey, with that being said, again, happy Father's Day to everybody out there. I want to thank everybody for just being in studio. Annalie, I want to thank you for just taking the time to stream in from California. And with that being said, we'll see you next week on 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score.
When you were a kid,